to the end of this particular month, and we shall be entering yet another month, that is the month of November. But the question always is that how ready and how willing are you to see that this year also ends on your side is what really matters. And what exactly are you doing out there to make sure that you are also not left out when it comes to achieving those targets that you laid at the beginning of the year, because the year is now surely coming to an end. Because if we're talking about the end of the month of October, and then November and December are just like maybe seconds. We shall be seeing this running in a time that maybe somebody could not be understanding how terribly they will be moving at. But I want to assure you, the year is coming to an end, and that is where you must be making evaluations of what you have done and what you intend to do in the remaining days of this month here. So many things going to happen. There's a Man United fan who has already died, and this is said to be caused by an Arsenal fan who is currently on the run, and all that story will be coming on. I also want to assure you that Minister Chris Bariomunsi has assured that Ugandans want UCDA to be going to, that is under Ministry of Agriculture. The merger, also when you talk about it in there, is another story that we'll be looking out into. And of course, so many other stories that I will also be letting you know when it comes to issues of social life. I will be also touching in there. Political words also, I will be also giving them to you in there, and the issues in the current corridor, in the current affairs also we won't be missing out. I want to assure you that all that will be coming on your way as you are seated. If in case you are planning to move to work, currently you may be watching us in the sitting room with your family, allow me also to welcome you on board in a special way and say welcome aboard. Our final destination remains, that is 9 o'clock. It's a Wednesday. I want to assure you it's a bright morning right in Arua City, where we are still seeing so many issues also, and that also we shall be discussing with you. And of course, these are happening right away from the region up to the national scene. So many things continue to happen. Yesterday we had the budget conference, that is for the Central Division Arua City. We had an engagement of Uganda Revenue Authority, and of course so many stories continue to happen. I want to really assure you that there has been a busy week. That is in the divisions of Central Division in Arua City. In Koboko, I do not say the same also will be taking place. And so many things, of course, also still continue to happen in there when it comes to issues of the budget conference. And this is the preparations for the 2025/2026 budget. And the planning process actually starts right now, where everybody is supposed to be involved. Be it an ordinary citizen, you are still asked to also participate in that, where you are required to also be part of that. You are not also supposed to be left out when it comes to the issues of the making of the budget. You are supposed to be involved. The other day, just before yesterday, we had the engagement of the Ivory Division, where so many things also featured. And today when we talk about the issues of the revenue leakages in the Ivory Division, it is actually very much vividly witnessed. And despite also the entry points, because Ivory Division actually has the border point that connects that is Uganda to DRC. And today when we talk about Leah border points, these are actually areas where government will be milking money from, but today the government is not realizing a lot of money from that due to smuggling, which is partly attributed to the infights also within the Ivory Division leaders in there. Today there are a section of Ivory leaders who wanted Ivory to remain under the Nena Rural district, but the division was carved out. And today they continue to spread the gospel and make the call, that is for the breakaway of Ivory to form its own district, which will be known as the Ivory district, which is something which we are of course witnessing, and we are still vividly witnessing that going on. And I really want to say all that is happening right away in Arua City, that is in the division of Ivory. In Central Division, we were yesterday for the budget conference, and of course it did go on well in there. But the biggest story, of course, yesterday was when we did see Uganda Revenue Authority engaging its stakeholders. When I talk about its stakeholders, I mean they themselves and you, of course, who is a taxpayer. We had an engagement which also was at Tropical Suites Hotel in Arua City, which brought together a number of stakeholders, among whom include the taxpayers, I mean the business community, the clergy. I was able to also see the media also was part of that, and many other stakeholders who were also called upon to see that they be together and also deliberate on issues of integrity. And when I talk about integrity, it means that you have to do what is expected of you. There's no way we are going to be seeing you engaging in corruption, because corruption will not be for you who is a person who is known of integrity. And to you, the taxpayer, there's no way also you are going to be playing with your integrity by also participating in corruption. That therefore will also be enabling the country grow and also thrive when it comes to revenue mobilization. And that is one thing which we did see yesterday. And of course, we are still following up to see how this will be ending when when the right time also comes in there. But I want to show you that so many things going to happen. That is right away in the region. Nationally, we are still seeing a lot also happening. And now the biggest story, of course, happening this morning, we are seeing on the papers, is that Minister Chris Baryomunsi says that Ugandans want USCDA to be merged by government. Is really something which we are seeing, where the Minister of also Information and Technology, that is ICT, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, has asked members of parliament to stop also politicking and tribalizing the coffee bill, saying that the majority of the population want the government to nationalize, that is Uganda Coffee Development Authority, which also was also thrown out the other day. Now this follows a vote in parliament the last week intended to shove Uganda Coffee Development Authority, that is to take it to under Ministry of Agriculture, and that is one thing which we did see happening under the merger also the policy in there. But of course, that did not go on well. The Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Mong, was allegedly heard also in the microphone urging the National Resistance Movement Party diehards in the House to also really make sure that those in Buganda don't also really have the numbers, because Parliament is all about numbers. But of course, something that did not go on well with also really some of the leaders. And I was able to also really see the Lord Mayor, that is Arias Lukwago, asking the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Mong, to apologize to the Buganda. But of course, that is one thing which we're following up on, and we are still going to be seeing how this will be ending. But I want to show you that the issue of the coffee bill is indeed taking another trend and taking another direction when it comes to taking its direction, because many people are talking about mergers. And of course, UCDA is another body that is also on the spot and also on the verge of being moved. That is the mother body, that's Ministry of Agriculture. We're also seeing NFA being moved to that's Ministry of Environment. These are all developments that are all aiming at reducing government expenditure, because if you look at these bodies, most of them are actually doing similar work. And that calls for the murder, which which somebody also is saying is actually very much right in there. But what do you think about this? What do you think about the measures government is intending to take when it comes to also moving some of these agencies, that is to the mother bodies in? Now speaking to media, or that is at the media center on October 29th, which was actually yesterday, Mr. Baryomunsi, the Minister also for ICT, the National Guidance, has said the coffee bill is not also to destroy the coffee sector, but to put UCDA also under Ministry of Agriculture, and the regulator also will get new also placed under that body in there. But many people actually saying that this is really wrong, and this is one area where people are losing and also fearing to lose their jobs, and that may be also another reason which also is limiting and partly stopping this merger. But already are we we also you are taking that, well, that meal, that is a bit healthy, because I do not want to see you also getting complications as a result of unhealthy diet in there. But we hope you actually doing the very best. Take cold water in the morning, and at the end of the day also get some small tea to also enable you get something small, and at the end of the day enable you get that money that you also maybe have also worked for, and spend it wisely in there other than spending it on health, because spending it on health is really indeed a big challenge that many people could be going through. Many of the times people also work for these monies, and the money also goes back into health, which is really very much unfair. But let's also simply avoid falling sick by what we call proper diet. And that is where I want to advise you to have that delicious and that morning breakfast that is a bit well in there. Do not starve yourself, even if you have the money, even if it's small. Some people may also prefer to starve themselves and say, I would rather wait for lunch. It's not good and proper to miss meals, and to actually skip meals is really a very much bad practice. But many people today are suffering from ulcers simply because of these behaviors. But I want to say, wake up early in the morning, organize yourself, have breakfast, take cold water, take tea. At the end of the day, that is how healthy your day is going to be ending. Now, regarding concerns about the Italian company Vinic potentially taking over the coffee sector, Dr. Cross Bariomus stated that the company proposed infrastructure for adding value for coffee, but also it is yet a proposal that is yet to be implemented and yet also to be taken to another level in there. But we are still following up to see how this, of course, will be unfolding. And I want to show you that so many issues also are going to happen in there, and all that will be also unfolding right away on the morning show, that is the KOKOLIRIKO live show. And it is always a great pleasure starting off your day from an informed point of view. Just imagine somebody asking you in the due course of the day of what he or she had over the media platforms, or whatever maybe heard about from somebody in there, and the person is asking you, and you got the information right away from the KOKOLIRIKO live show. It feels great. I want to say it feels also really important that at the end of the day, you will be also answering that very much well in there. But talking about also these issues of the mergers, many people have not also been able to solely welcome this idea, and we did see Buganda Kingdom also talking about this, and today we are still seeing all that also happening in there. Now, that is where we did see the category, that's Maiga, saying that UCDA needs more funds, not rationalization, and that is one area where we are able to see the Premier, that is the Prime Minister of Buganda Kingdom, Charles Peter Maiga, asking government to also allocate more funds, that is the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, and also rationalizing it and moving it under Ministry of Agriculture. And last week there was also the heated debate in Parliament, as members of Parliament also whether we also able to also express their views on whether to move, that is the body, that is the Ministry of Agriculture and the National Policy, where they were able to deliberate on the National Coffee Amendment Bill of 2004, that is also that is for the second reading, as part of the process to implement government's resolution of agencies and public expenditure policy. And that is where we are still seeing the body surviving. But how already are we to see that this body is moved? Now, UCD also is among the agencies listed to be taken back to their mother ministries, but this proposal is yet taken to Parliament, and Parliament was the one that approved also the breakaways, and it also has to be Parliament that is to approve the going back of these agencies. Ministry of Agriculture will also therefore now have a UCDA, where the issues of coffee will also be undertaken. But today, if you talk about coffee, it is mostly planted in Buganda sub-region. That is why we are seeing the Buganda loyalists also really very much striving that this body does not go back. That is the mother ministry. But how ready are we for all this? Because if you look at the issues of coffee, you move to the central area in Buganda particularly, you will realize that most of the homesteads at least have coffee gardens. And it is actually one of those economic activities that the people of Buganda sub-region identified with, apart from banana and matoke in there. But as West Nile sub-region, on a sad note, we do not have any other crop that identifies with us. There is no crop that you will be saying that this comes from West Nile sub-region. Maybe gone are the days when we were known for planting tobacco. But today the tobacco production in this region has again gone down because of the different also the processes and the different challenges that this also is going through. Because at one time, we had also our farmers incurring losses after a company known as Continental was able to make them also at losses in there. But today, there's hope for them. Recently, I was able to see our members of parliament from this city and from this region also fronting the idea and meeting the different stakeholders to see that also our farmers get the compensation that they demand in that. Today, many farmers have been also crying over years to also see that the government compensates them, and I was able to see the Speaker of Parliament also commenting on the same issue. We hope this time round our farmers will therefore get the money that also they have been yearning for over all these years. Many of the times we have also been seeing our farmers crying to the government and also making sure that they also plead for government to solely pay them for these monies in there. And that is one area which we feel our farmers, who are mostly a rural district, most of them also in Maracha, other than Terego, who have been crying to the government to solely compensate them for the losses that they incurred also at the hands of the company known as Continental Tobacco Company Limited India, which went away with people's monies. And today many of the farmers have been rendered jobless, others have been rendered also without properties after loans are also taken over their properties. And that is one area which we also still looking for government's intervention. And therefore, also we hope government will be able to also at the right time also compensate these farmers in there. Now speaking to journalists at Bulange Mengo on Tuesday, this is where the particular, that is Charles Peter Maiga, called for more funding for the authority so that it can also do also what is expected out of it, therefore not merging it. And that is one area which we also feel you two also still can share your opinions and share your ideas on whether this merger should also maybe take effect, or should it also be maintained as it is. That is where you can also still share your opinions and share your ideas with us. And now, according to the category, real money is also in the final consumer market after value addition, and category might go so that Uganda's roasted coffee at the moment also cannot penetrate the European and the American markets, given that some of also the leading coffee producers such as Brazil and Vietnam are still also selling the coffee beans in their raw form, that is to Europe and also the United States of America, and that is what we did see happening in there. Now the Premier, Mr. Maiga, reiterated that Kingdom also launched a new campaign to promote coffee production in Buganda, dubbed as Mwanyi Terimba Initiative, which also literally means coffee does not lie, which was launched way back in 2016. That is to enhance also the more production of coffee after witnessing high poverty levels in Buganda during also the Tofali, which is known as the fundraising campaign of 2013, that's 2016. And many farmers today have also adopted that. And this is one area which I really want to say has been also happening in there. And today we also really expect a crop at least to identify with us as West Nile sub-region. We do not have that at the moment, but we hope if also we had a crop that we were also best known for, it would be quite well. But unlike today, we do not have any other crop that West Nile sub-region is identified with. And we hope in future, at least let's also identify a crop. It could be matoke, it could be maize, it could be cassava. Let West Nile sub-region be known for that. And at the end of the day, most people will be attracted to come and buy from here. Today, if you look at areas of Bugis sub-region, Bali in particular, many of our farmers are now moving to buy from there. Many of our market women are actually getting their produce from that side. And if you talk about Irish, Tigezi sub-region, Kabale is known for that. But West Nile sub-region, there's nothing. And you move to areas like Masindi, it is sugarcane. You move to Lugazi, it is sugarcane. Let West Nile also really identify its own crop. And that would also help identify with us. And I hope at the end of the day, many farmers would actually get money as a result of that. And now that is where we hope at the end of the day that is going to be very much important. And that is where many people would also really be attracted to also really venture into coffee production at the end of the day in there. And that is where we're leaving the discussion aside. Still on the monitor, we did see Speaker of Parliament, that's right, Honorable Anita Mong, asking the church to pray for them as they lead Uganda, and that is one thing we did see happening in there. But we hope you also, who is watching me this morning, can still pray for her, and also the other leaders in there as they're leading this country in there, and that is where you can also pray for them. But many of the time, people also think these people are not right. Now, Speaker of Parliament, right, Honorable Anita Mong, has urged Ugandans to pray for her and other national leaders, indicating that they share demanding tasks as they steer the country. And she made the remarks during her visit, that is to All Saints Cathedral, to contribute, that is towards the November 1st grand opening ceremony for the cathedral, which has also been under construction for years. Now the Bukedia Women Member Parliament was received by former Prime Minister, that is also the Amama Babazi, currently serving as also the cathedral's chairman construction committee, who made also a 50 million contribution towards the event. And Mr. Baba is also saying that also that she will significantly cover the final needs on the construction project of the new church also in there. And that is one area which we did see the speaker had been also a subject of public debate after she had allegedly made the tribal comments, as the House has voted on also on whether to subject the National Coffee Amendment Bill 24 to second reading on the floor of Parliament. And she actually made a remark that was taken very much badly by the Buganda loyalists in there, and today she is also the spotlight for that. And Mr. Mang, through also the Parliament, the Speaker, the spokesperson in Parliament, that is Chris Obore, last week also did also appear on the news where she was vehemently denied ever making such comments and urged Ugandans not also to tribalize the coffee bill. And that is one area which we hope also needs also our intervention and needs also our opinions to share on that. But we are going to be taking yet another short commercial break. When we return back, we still have lots more to give you. I remember there's a story that I told you about how an Arsenal fan is currently on the run after maybe allegedly assaulting a Man U fan, and all that is happening, and the Man U fan also is still there. And we are still following up and to see how this also matter also goes on in there. But we are going to be letting you know how at the end of the day that also discussion ends in there. But for now, I want to stop here as I bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Vinicius Jr., Lamine Yamal, Antoine Griezmann. La Liga comes to Star Times.
A wild celebration!
The big stars, the tiki-taka football, Real Madrid and Barcelona live in your living room.
Real Madrid, a team of dreams!
Catch all 380 games live and in HD on Sports Premium, Channel 259 and Channel 246. Starting this August 15th. Subscribe to StarTimes Classic or Smart Bouquet at 36,000 Uganda shillings to enjoy the football experience affordably. StarTimes Football and limited passion.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Thank you so much. Welcome back. And this is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV channel 477. That is on StarTimes. We are also there. That is on Zuku. That is on channel 0073. Of course, we have also just newly joined Azam. For those who have the Azam decoder, we are also already coming on your way in there. That's where you will be in position to already watch us. That KOKOLIRIKO live show that's Mondays to Fridays, right from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock with me, Farish Majid, where on some occasions we do also invite guests to come and share their thoughts and share their opinions with you as we get to move on with the shows. And this is where I want to also say welcome aboard now as we are getting down with the show, and that is where we hope you will be still in position to also listen and also look at what's happening in there. And now talking about that, there's a guard who has also shot a businessman in Lira City. And now we are able to see shops closed as tear gas rocked Lira City after guard shoots businessman dead is another story which we are seeing. But really, what is wrong with some of these guards in there? Now police on Tuesday fired tear gas in Lira City to disperse hundreds of angry people who were attempting to loot also shops and supermarkets owned by the Indian community. Now the incident solely was triggered by the killing of a local businessman identified as Dickens Odongo, a resident also of Barongara Cell, that is in Railways Ward, Lira East also City Division. That is also we were able to see that happening in there. But at the end of the day, we want to see how this also will be unfolding. Now the victim also was allegedly shot dead by a security guard also deployed at Navrov's market, owned by the Indian community, and that is where we are able to see that happening on Olwal Road, just like dozens of other businesses also run by Indians along Olwal Road. And adjacent also areas, Navrov's market was closed when the crowd also turned rowdy despite the heavy deployment of police and other security agencies at the scene of crime in there. But how already are we also to see this happening? And what exactly caused this man to trigger also what exactly triggered him to actually pull out also the bullets in there? Now, whereas also that we also learned that also that Odongo jumped off a motorbike. That is at about that nearby stage, and the supermarket at around 9:30 a.m. before one of the security guards identified as Mr. Moses Opio, without any warning, cocked his gun and opened fire at him. What exactly caused that? Where we were able to see Mr. Lucky Junior Achaka, a businessman who operates a shop opposite the supermarket, said it took them by surprise that the security guard also already shot Odongo dead without warning. What exactly could have caused this? These are issues that also which we feel shouldn't happen. Even if you have disagreements, even if me and you are not also working well, I really feel, please, do not end my life. Just imagine, maybe because of a small disagreement, you have already rendered my family helpless, because I believe this businessman could have also been supporting now people in there. But I really want to say, as guards, let's avoid tendencies of also taking the laws in our hands. And he said that after the incident, Odongo fled the scene with this gun. And this is where we expect now him to be tracked and also phoned and brought before the books of law and also before the court to also answer some of these charges. And this is where I really want to see the bringing back of what we call the murder law. Death sentence is actually what we feel needs to be coming back, because many of the times we are seeing people also with guns now taking also the laws if they are where lives innocently. I really feel death sentence could actually do a great service. That is to members of the security, be it in the UPDF, be it in the police force, be it in the prisons force, because we have seen them happening and misusing their guns. What about now the security agencies, these security companies, who have also already been of late known as killers? I think really it is high time that all this also really are brought to book, and that will also at the end of the day end some of these issues. And I feel at the end of the day, this is where we will see a reduction when it comes to some of those issues. What do you think needs to be done? What exactly should be done to those who are involved in such similar practices? I really want to say it is high time that we bring them to book. And that is where we did see Mr. Patrick Jimmy Okema, the North Chiyoga Regional Police spokesperson, say the investigation to the matter have already commenced, and that is where we are also going to be seeing what exactly could have caused this. Mr. Okema said the suspect is under custody. That's at Lira Central Police Station, and we expect also him to be paraded before the courts of law to answer for some of these charges that he has also done in there. Now, still also within the security forces, we are able to also see a UPDF soldier is currently being detained for allegedly defiling a P2 pupil. Very unfortunate and very credible, if at all this also happened in. Now the RDC cries in hospital also while visiting 8-year-old girl allegedly defiled by UPDF soldier. How old could this UPDF be? And how old could this P2 girl also maybe 8-year-old be? And how big is this girl? And this is where we're able to see an 8-year-old girl is fighting for her life at Kayunga Regional Referral Hospital after she was allegedly defiled by the Defense Force officer, who is also known as Sebanyala security guards. And this is one issue that is really very much unfortunate. And we also want to say that we regret for all this. Now the Sebanyala is actually one of those kings who is intending to break away. That is from Buganda Kingdom, and if at all this is how his guards are behaving, then it is really, really high time that also we are going to be getting scared of it. But we hope also at the end of the day that this also officer is brought to book and also answers for all these charges and what could have prompted him into engaging into this practice. That's why we were able to see Mr. Seguya had been accompanied also by the Assistant RDC, that's Mr. Khalid Bikongolo, that is also really to the hospital to check on whether the victim also had been hospitalized since Sunday after the 45-year-old soldier allegedly took advantage of her. But how do you also really, as a soldier who is supposed to protect the citizen, also really engage in such practice? This is where sometimes I feel the soldiers shouldn't be with us. This work the UPDF officers sometimes are doing should be done by police. I really expect them to be at the borders. Let them also be guarding the border points, not also really mixing with civilians. Let police do this work. Let police provide the security. But many of times where we see also the UPDF officers providing guidance, also providing also the security activities in there, it's really quite unfortunate that this also happens. And most times we have seen them happening. We have had scenarios where homesteads that are being guarded by UPDF, people are expressing fears. People also really fearing them. It means that people also do not trust them. And I hope at the end of the day, the government can look into that. Let the UPDF officers remain in barracks. If they are told they are not also guarding at the border points, let them remain at the barracks. Let them also not mix freely with the people, because if at all this is how they are now also engaging with the masses, and then that is quite unfortunate. And while listening also to the victim's ordeal, Ms. excused herself and walked away from hospital bed before bursting in tears. That is one thing that is happening in there. Now the suspect currently is in police custody. He is attached also to a group of Sebanyala's royal guards in Cherima village in Kitimbwa sub-county in Kayunga district, and had been living in the victim's neighborhood. And that is where the unfortunate incident happens. And as parents, let's solely check on how our girls are living as we are living home. Because many of the times we leave our homes not knowing who the people at home we are living our children with. And that is where sometimes people, just like the UPDF officer, may take advantage of them. And this is where we also really want to regret on some of these activities. This is not the very first time we're seeing this happening. Many of the times we have seen such activities. Recently I was also talking to you about a story where a grandfather was able to defile the granddaughter, which is really something which I want to say was very much unfortunate. And we have seen that happening. It means that society has indeed gone down when it comes to promotion of our cultural heritage. And now on the 44th day, the victim accompanied her grandmother, that is to a wedding party near their home. When it clocked 6 p.m., she was sent home alone to open doors for the chicken. And after also, that's where we didn't see also happening. And she was able to narrate her ordeal and said, as I opened also the door, I found the name withheld also already called me and asked me to enter his house, so that I could help also him also in also so that he could also help give me money. And when I entered also the house, he carried me on his bed and removed my knickers, and the victim also narrated, and that is how exactly the thing happened. And after defiling her, the suspect, who is also detained at Kayunga Central Police Station, gave her shillings 3,000. Can you imagine? And followed also the warning against telling anyone about what happened. And however, also the victim's grandmother said when she returned home, she was taken also aback to find also drops of fresh blood on the floor of the sitting room, and that is what also prompted her to ask what could have happened. And as the grandmother, also the victim, also approached me, and I had blood stains already all over the clothes, and I asked her what happened, but she wasn't also really hesitant to say anything at first. Moments later, she told me also that a Afande had defiled her and gave her shillings 3,000. The elder woman explained to the RDC, and that is one thing we did see happening. And now the grandmother also rushed to the local leaders to report the matter, but also which was also transferred to police. On hearing about also the impending arrests, the suspect also reported also attempted to flee, but was intercepted by police, who also arrested him also on charges of aggravated defilement. And this is one area which we feel people must also be able to also resist from. And we also hope that this also does not also happen in our societies. And when contacted about the case, Ms. Rosette Sikawa, the Kayunga District Police Commander, said the suspect is in their custody as investigations into the matter continue. Now, doctors say that the victim is still in pain as a result of continued bleeding from her also ruptured private parts. And when contacted solely for comments, the Banyala Kingdom also spokesperson Mr. Derek Kadu said he had not also been furnished with the details of the case and promised to revert also in there. Several other follow-up calls went also unanswered to also get answers also from also where this person was working. Now the RDC want parents again is also letting their children to move alone during late hours of day in there, and that is one also the issue which I also want to also talk about as a warning, because we may be talking about this happening in Kayunga, not knowing tomorrow it is also going to be happening to our daughter in Maracha. It could be happening also to our assistant Zombo. It could also be happening to our auntie's son or daughter, perhaps also in Nebi or any other part. We are still saying the children are very much vulnerable today. Let us not also allow our children move alone, most especially the girl child. We have seen scenarios where people are taking advantage of the girl child. And also not the girl child alone today, the boys are also still going also silently through a lot as a result of these issues of sexual exploitation. Many of the times we have also seen this happening, and we have also at the end of the day that when it comes to this issue. Yeah, but how do you defile an 8-year-old girl as a 40-plus also person? How do you even start getting feelings for such a young girl is also what we also have to also talk about in there, and we hope also justice shall prevail, and at the end of the day that this officer should be able to be sentenced to be death. I really want to say death sentence could actually do well when it comes to these issues, and this would help deter many people from engaging in such practices, and I hope at the end of the day that is where we shall be seeing this also happening, and that is one area and one issue. We will possibly at the end of the day would also be able to address some of those issues. Now talking about that new fruit factory, management is already eyeing regional markets. In another story we are hoping, and also hope that this also does not only remain by the word of mouth, and we want to see this actualizing. And of course I am having hope that also this activity or indeed will also be taking place. Now the new management of Soreti Fruit Factory has said it is working towards also international certification for its products. Also, Ms. Azeb Mesfin Zenawi, the director of Chima Yes, that is one area, of course, which we want to also see government thriving through. And Mrs. Zenawi was interacting also with farmers at the factory premises in Arapai on Friday for the first time since taking over the running of the facility. And she also did explain that although the fruit factory produces also juice, and this also is intended to also cross over to the regional markets in DRC, South Sudan, and also the neighboring countries of Rwanda, and is not also through also a formal process, but this is where we are still looking for the certification that would enable the country also supply these countries with our juice, which I hope is really very much nice, and I really want to also test this. I have never tested it, and I hope it is actually a good juice that is also good for us, and we must also support what Ugandan markets are holding, and not only buying other products that are also not made locally here. Let's also support products that are made locally here under the initiative of Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. And that is where I really want to say after here, I will also be moving towards also seeing that. And the meeting also to assure the citrus farmers of the prices of the fruits, and also to unveil a plan to develop the factory that previously was under the management of Uganda Development Corporation, where 80% shares also went through, and the farmers also through the Tropical Fruit Growers Cooperative Union also were able to get something small from there. And that's one area also which we hope also would also remain on paper. We want to see government money that is being injected in this fruit factory also coming back at the end of the day for us to see that we also get back what is intended out of us in there, and that is where we are going to be leaving that discussion aside. And heading to Soroti still, Soroti Hospitals also only radiographers also struggles also to manage CT scan demands. Is another story that we are seeing in the papers, which is really very much unfortunate, where Soroti Regional Referral Hospitals is struggling also to manage daily demands of the CT scan, also due to limited qualified personnel to offer the services also at the facility in here, and that is another story that we are seeing. And that is where we did see Dr. Joseph Epodoi, a senior consultant surgeon that's at the hospital, told us that the facility has been also with one radiographer, but the CT scan also has been fully operational and with only one personnel in there. And he said the services also for the CT scan are not free for everybody, and that is where the ministry standardized the price of 120,000 shillings unless the patient also has no relatives at the time, and the CT scan is also needed as an emergency, and that is where we are seeing people also paying for all the services, and the rural city donors are also paying for the same. And that's why this is Dr. Podoi confirming that the radiation keeps entering the body of those operating the CT scan, but measurements are undertaken every year, and it is beyond the recommended levels that also they stop working from also the same machine in there, and that's where we see them also being changed. And Miss Bridget Sanyu, a radiographer also at Soroti Regional Referral Hospital, who is actually the only radiographer, says that the machine could have handled over 20 patients a day, but due to also limited personnel, a few can access the services, and that is one area where I feel government needs to employ more radiographers and more experts to also handle this machine. That would also enhance service delivery, because if you look at the issues of CT scans, many times most, especially people need these CT scans, those involved in accidents, those who need operations, many times also they really go through a lot. But we hope with also the initiative of government of increasing on the numbers, that would also enable many possibly getting the services that they demand. And I hope at the end of the day that would also help many possibly in improving on their services, and that will also help the facility also improve on the services that is required also out of in there. And that is where we are going to leave that discussion aside and looking into other stories. Remember, we are just counting down 7 minutes to wind up with this hour. And of course, as always, our final destination remains, that is 9 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, we shall be having the news bulletin. That's with Fateh Manuel, and that is where after we shall be having the Northern Request Hour. Olivia UG with Jero, that will be coming shortly after the news bulletin. That is from 9 up to also midday. After midday, we shall be having the Lebanese news bulletin. That will be taken up to also some time, and thereafter we shall be having the street talk. That will be taking also its time up to 2 p.m. and thereafter the whistle time with Owen Ezaga and Leader Susie will also be expected to be here to also give you what is happening in the world of sports. And today when we talk about sports, there indeed some people have taken sports passionately. I do understand the leagues are returning back, but it's really very much wrong for us to kill ourselves just because of the games. Imagine people are playing in Europe, but Ugandans are assaulting themselves here. What does that speak of us? That's another story that I will be letting you know of what's happening in there, but that only will be coming through in our segment of sports, and I will be also letting you some of those games that will be also coming through. And that is not how our program is going to be ending. Remember, we shall also be having the movie time for those who love watching cinemas. For those who love watching cinemas, I do know of colleagues who can sit for the whole day watching and following up the movies, plot by plot, every process. They know it, and they can also record the sentences. I know of those colleagues who are ardent movie fans. That is also where we shall be bringing for you nice movies. That is also from 3 to 5 p.m. and that will be ushering us into Chuku Chuku. Hassan the Big Brother Liz, Hani, and DJ Mosh also will be expected to also bring you those vibes in the entertainment industry. When it comes to celebrity gossip, they will also be letting you know, and the concerts that are coming. I do understand as the year is coming to an end. Of course, many people now plan.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Lamine Yamal, Antoine Griezmann. La Liga comes to Star Times.
A wild celebration!
The big stars, the tiki-taka football, Real Madrid and Barcelona live in your living room.
Real Madrid, a team of dreams!
Catch all 380 games live and in HD on Sports Premium, Channel 259 and Channel 246. Starting this August 15th. Subscribe to StarTimes Classic or Smart Bouquet at 36,000 Uganda shillings to enjoy the football experience affordably. StarTimes Football and Limited Passion.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
right, it's exactly 8 o'clock. You're most welcome for the KOKOLIRIKO live show. In case you're just joining us right now, I want to welcome you on board in a special way, and I want to say this is actually the show you should always make a point not to miss out, because it is where we give information right in the world of politics, social life, and at the end of the day, also what we do not leave out is what is happening in the world of current affairs. Not only that, many times we bring guests, we invite on topics also that we need also discussions on, to also share their thoughts and share their opinions on what we also want you to know in there. But that is one area which at the end of the day is very much important for you to also not miss out in there. But we hope at the end of the day that you will be in position to not also miss out on some of these opportunities in there. But that is where we are going to be going with our discussions. And of course, 9 o'clock remains our final destinations. Hereafter, we are going to be having the All as a News Bulletin with Feta Emmanuel that will be ushering us straight away into the Lebangea News Bulletin. Thereafter, we shall be having, into the Northern Request Hour that will be ushering us straight into the Lebangea at midday. And thereafter, we shall be having Street Talk. After Street Talk, we shall be having what we call the sports program, the Whistle Time. Thereafter, many other programs also still will be also following. And that is one area where I want to now welcome on board in a special way. In case you are having breakfast right now, it could be maybe prepared by your madam. We are saying bon appetit. And in case you're having it with your children and family, we are saying it is always something cool to have breakfast with them. And that is one reason as to why, as West Nile Television, we remain committed to also keeping you informed, entertained, and educated as well. And that is all in all to keep you also in the know of what is happening. Now, Makerere government students solely up in arms over allowances is another story we are seeing, where Makerere University students are up in arms over mismanagement, also over management's failure to remit allowances solely for the past 3 months, leaving many also without food and accommodation. More than 55,000 sponsored students are supposed also to receive allowances. However, information also from also the country's top institution indicates that the students also have only received partial payments since August of this year. And according to also the chairperson of the Makerere University Government Sponsored Students Association, Ms. Lilian Akelo, non-residents also the students are allocated, that is ceiling 768,000 per semester, that is for rent, and while food also and those in halls are located shillings 530,000 per semester for food alone. And she, however, also said continuing non-resident students only also receive, that's 446,000. That's while also for first year students only is supposed to be receiving also some amount which also is stipulated about 93,000 for food also in there. But that is one issue also which we are seeing, and now the students are up in arms over also non-remittances of their allowances. In the now majority of government-sponsored students and non-residents who are also required to find hostels. University Guild also president, University Guild president, that is Vincent Lubega, said students we are about to sit their examination next month, and the situation therefore needs intervention. Now, response for the university is that Mr. Wilfred Kambumbuli, the Dean of Students, also said allowances have been disbursed for internships, research terms, disability student support, and partial food and house costings, which also have been also given also to the students in there. And that is one issue also where we are still following up on that. And we want to see how this also will be earning, and we want to see how each and everyone also still can be in position to also get the monies that they are required to also get either, because being on government is actually a motivation. Many of us who went to universities, you would also admire the government students because the burden on maybe parents is a bit reduced, and that is where we also want to encourage those who are in senior 4 right now, because the foundation for government sponsorship starts right from the senior 4. And I really want to say those who are in those lower classes, please make sure you excel in your O levels. And if you reach A level, work extra harder. You never know, you may get the points and also succeed. as a result and also of the increasing cases of sickle cell. And today many people are having sickle cell just because they do not know. I think it is really something which we also need to campaign and also talk to people about. Now the Ministry of Health says that the disease can be prevented when couples intending to get children, or whether to first undergo sickle cell testing and counseling before marriage. And now this move, according to Dr. Diana Twine, the permanent secretary that's to the ministry, also really, that says it is aiming at reducing the prevalency of the disease that is in the country. And if you look at the disease prevalence of sickle cell, you will read that indeed many people today are having sickle cell, and yet this disease could simply be avoided. That means before having what we call sexual intercourse, that is aiming at having children, it is really high time that you visit the nearest health facility. First of all, check if your blood is matching, and that will also enable you as a person intending to get married to also prevent sickle cell and also prevent you from getting children who would also be having sickle cell. Now, she had also said that the mandatory testing is that if it is achieved, it will also reduce the pain that many sickle cell anemia children are going through, and the parents also are going through, and that is through also having what we call a lifelong treatment. Now, speaking as the chief guest, during the launch, that is of integrated and scaling up sickle cell disease care in primary health services, that was at Kayunga Regional Referral Hospital yesterday, Dr. Diana Twine said countries also like Egypt had also rolled back sickle cell prevalence because it has made it so mandatory for every couple intending to get married also to first undergo sickle cell checkups. And that is one area which I feel at the end of the day many people should also be able to solely embrace in there, because if once it's not embraced, then it's going to be a great challenge, and many people will be still having children with sickle cell, and a disease which also today is really a great concern in there. But how do we also avoid this disease, and how ready are we to also end this sickle cell disease in the world? I don't want to limit it to Uganda alone, because sickle cell is indeed a disease that today is affecting people across the globe. And now under the program which is being piloted in Kayunga Regional Referral Hospital, and will be therefore rolled out to other regional referral hospitals across the country, all infants will be screened, that's for sickle cell disease, and those who have also the disease will receive essential life-saving care. And that's also where we are going to be seeing them also getting the disease. That's also a drug that also reduces sickling of blood cells to prevent complications of the disease. Now the program is being also supported by the Health Ministry in partnership with Baylor Children's Foundation. That is Uganda branch, Texas children also Texas Children's. We also have for you to also see children with sickle cell. Many of them are suffering. All the time they are sick, they are losing weight. It's really a great concern. It's indeed something which we must also work towards in there, and that's why we did see Dr. Sophie Nakito. The Kayunga Regional Referral Hospital pediatrician said currently 500 sickle cell warriors are under care and treatment at the facility, noting, however, they face shortage of hydroxyurea. That's a medical term, and that is one also thing that is lacking at the facility. And now Dr. Ruth Namazi, a lecturer and a pediatric hematologist, that is in Makerere University School of Health Sciences, said approximately 20,000 children also are born every year with sickle cell disease in Uganda, and that is also a huge number. If you look at 20,000 with sickle cell, just imagine how many of those are going to be also spending monies, first of all, on treatment and care. How many parents are going to be losing a lot of money? I remember a scenario way back when I had a neighbor who had a child with sickle cell. The child was actually young. I didn't know that every time she was rushed to the medical facility, I hear she's running out of blood. I was prompted to ask, what disease is this girl suffering from? Only to be told it was sickle cell. So I think it's really something which we must also really be able to work towards, and work towards reducing these numbers in here. Now, so that also that like HIV/AIDS, sickle cell awareness should be scaled, so that the general public also knows that the disease is not caused by witchcraft, because many times people also feel it is a disease of witchcraft. Many people also feel it is witchcraft that indeed is causing them this disease, and that is where they feel this disease should also really not be also really maybe treated. And Dr. Henry Mobesa, the Director General of Health Services in the Health Ministry, asked medical workers in the facility to mobilize parents with children and also with the disease to take them for treatment, noting that the program also really is the first of its kind in Africa. Likewise, we did see Dr. Catherine Grimes, the president of Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation, has said early screening and treatment of children with sickle cell disease will reduce the pain and the complications as they are growing in there. Now, during the function, Dr. Twine also commissioned the construction of a sickle cell clinic that is at Kayunga Hospital in India. Now, the function was attended by local leaders, clerics, and as well as medical personnel, and not forgetting the community members and other stakeholders who also really joined among others to also be part of this disease in there. Now, talking about the other groups, I mean the media is also in there, because if the media was not also part of this group, then this story wouldn't also have appeared here on our platforms in there, because nobody would have also known about it. And that is where we are saying the other categories, and that's where the media in most cases falls. And all in all, that is not a problem. We are placed in there, we appreciate, and that is one area which I feel at the end of the day is really, really quite important. But many times, people feel they have been also placed very badly, and now that's where we hope also really that this matter also really gets also really the kind of treatment that it requires, because early mandatory screening before marriage, I really feel this is the best move, and something which has been long overdue, something which I must say we have waited for over years, and if it's well implemented, well and good. We will see a reduction in the number of children born with sickle cell anemia. And this is where we would also really want to see many of our children, therefore also really becoming also really good, also really healthy, unhealthy in there, because many of times the children are very much unhealthy when it comes to also the issues of sickle cell in there. And that is where we shall be leaving the discussion aside and looking at some of the stories happening elsewhere. Ugandan is on trial in the UK over modern slavery is another story we're seeing, but I will be touching that later on. But that is where we are still seeing in Busoga sub-region, 15,000 Busoga Muslim women to benefit. That is from Museveni's, that is Shilling's 2 billion donation. Is another story we're seeing right away this morning, where 15,000 Busoga Muslim women are set to benefit from President Museveni's, that is 2 billion donation. And we hope at the end of the day they get this money that also has been given them, where at least 15,000 Muslim women in Busoga sub-region under their respective circles are set to benefit from a shillings, that is 2 billion donation from President His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and the national also, that is chairperson Uganda Muslim Spring Council, Women Council, an affiliation also of Uganda Muslim Spring Council also already did also to talk about this, and where we did see the lady in the names of Sophie Safina Kanyagi also already say the funds which are the donation from President Museveni are interest-free in there. That means they will be borrowing this money and returning it as they borrowed, no interest. And because if you look at Islam, Islam is a religion that prohibits interest. And if you talk about riba, it is actually a term many people also asking themselves, but how does this apply? It means that the money you borrow is actually what you return. If you borrowed 100,000, you will be required to pay 100,000 as you just borrowed, and that is the benefit and the beauty of interest-free monies in there. And that is where many people today are pushing for the Islamic banking in Uganda. That is where, if at all, it is actually maybe made, it would also be able to solely maybe bring monies. And today we also have banks that are emerging also, and those are also working towards ensuring that the government also is in position to also get the monies and banks also that will be operating interest-free in there. Now, Uganda Resident District Commissioner, Mr. Sadala Wandera, also contributed that shillings 20 billion to Bugeri District Muslim Women Circle to improve on their livelihood. Now, the chairperson Bugeri District Women Council, Ms. Sumini Nabire, urged the beneficiaries to also really do what is expected and also really use the monies very well, and that's where she asked them to utilize the funds well, saying that this is all aiming at improving their livelihoods. And that is one thing also we want to see, people's livelihoods transformed economically. Now the deputy mufti, that is of Sheikh Muhammad Ali Waiswa, asked the Muslims to be self-sufficient by engaging in income-generating activities. And that is one area which we feel is really, really quite good, because if at all people are not working, then the clergy are not going to be getting offertory. And independence is actually the way to go, because if you look at Islam, I do not know what other religions are saying, it talks about giving, other than receiving. It talks more of giving. It means you have to work harder to also be part of the group that is giving, and then being part of the group that is receiving, because it also does not solely stop about receiving, because it talks about sadaq, and sadaq is also where the vulnerable also benefit a lot in the. And if you talk about zakah, yes, all those initiatives indicate that indeed receiving is not very much bad, but it actually promotes giving, and that is where we hope at the end of the day you also who is watching us also is part of the category that is also of the giving group in there. Now, President also announced the donation of the shillings, that is 2 billion, that's to the UMWC Sako Muslim Sako Council. That is on October 8th during the inaugural Muslim Leaders Conference. That is at Old Kampala Senior Secondary School, and that is where now he has also fulfilled the pledge. And now the chairperson also the Ibulangu Sub-County Muslim Council, that is Ms. Zahara Namususwa, said the president also has saved them from loans with interest solely that have been also being burdening and also against the Islamic principles. And some of the women funds established by the government haven't been benefited also from Muslims because of interest attached to also, and that's where we did see Muslims also have been pushed away from Uganda Muslim Entrepreneurs Program, the WEP, and the generating growth opportunities, and also where we are now seeing many persons that have been able to benefit from that because of the interest. And many people, most those who are too religious, may not also be in position also to interest themselves in wanting to borrow this money in here because of the interest is associated with. And many of them could just simply leave out the opportunities to go just because of the interest, because the religion talks about rejection of interest, because interest is indeed what we call a sin under the Islamic faith in there. And that is one thing also which we feel is really quite wrong. And at the end of the day, many people have been pushed aside. And that's one thing also where we want to thank the government for coming up with the initiative of also really supporting the Muslim community, which talks about also really interest. And today, if at all they are supported, then that is really a good gesture for us also to be talking about in there. And that is where we are going to be living with that discussion aside, and still looking at also what's happening elsewhere in there, and so many stories going to happen, and I will be unfolding all that on the discussion in here. Now, one of the stories we are seeing, teach your children on sexual reproductive health. Iyala MP tells parents is another story we're seeing, and how many times as a parent have you been able to engage your sons and your daughters about sexual education? Many of times this has not been happening. I don't know of scenarios where parents are sitting down with their children to educate them about sexual and reproductive health in here. Now, Uganda's legislator in the East African Legislative Assembly, that is Ms. Jacqueline Amongin, has asked parents to always educate their children on issues of sexual reproductive health. And this was, and she made the remarks while addressing the audience at the Inter-University Dialogue at Makerere University on October 28th, and where we did see Ms. Amongin asking parents to seriously take on the responsibility of educating their children on sexual matters. And that is where we did see parents, she also did caution parents that in the best position, they must provide children with accurate and effective information about sexual and reproductive health in there, because if at all, many of them are not also sensitized, then we may see our children messing because they are forced with nothing but other than exploring, because you do not give them the information, they will be forced to venture and find the information by themselves, which may also lead them into trouble. And so that many young people also have been able to also fall in problems simply because they lack knowledge, and they have been also able to have limited access to accurate information on sexuality, sexual and reproductive health, and their rights, leaving them also vulnerable to preventable issues because they have been forced to venture and look for this information by themselves in there. And I hope at the end of the day, as parents, we are going to be taking keen concern, which will also really enable the children also really get the information about sexual reproductive health right away from the homes, because as parents, sometimes the children listen to you more than any other person. And now, if at all we're not educating them, they're going to be forced to learn the information from also the other sources. For instance, the bad friends, they will be teaching them, because many of the times the children also learn these things by themselves. The peer-to-peer pressure is actually what is causing a lot of the troubles in there. And then secondly, the smartphones that we have today, they're going to be also the source of information where they're going to be learning very much bad practices. So I think it's really high time that as parents, we embrace this initiative of sensitizing our children and of telling them of the negative impacts of early sex and also giving them sexual knowledge in there. Now, those remarks were made by the minister, who also pointed out that many parents send their children to university without equipping them with information on sexual and reproductive health, assuming they will also remain abstinent until after their graduation. And in many cases, however, students also turn to peers or to the internet for guidance, which can lead them to also to bad practices in there, because many of the times the parents feel the children should learn this information in the university. There's really one bad issue I'm against. Many of the times we have been told, while growing up in schools, we are able to sort of learn that you will do these things at the university. Many of the teachers will tell us, you wait until you reach university. Then they will be learning that. As parents, if we're told, not also given this knowledge. And then a person is going to be learning from the peers, who may also give them bad information. And that would at the end of the day lead them in trouble. That's why you find children also accidentally getting HIV, others getting sexual diseases, others getting pregnant, just because they did not also have this information. So I think it's high time that as parents, let's sit down with our children before they also enter this high institution of learning. Not only that, even secondary schools, let's tell them about the dangers. Let's educate them and let's equip them also with sexual knowledge in there. And at the end of the day, that would also enable many young children to get the kind of knowledge that they deserve in there. Now, the event brought together students from various universities, as well as policymakers from the ministries of education, health, and gender, under the theme, promoting young people's sexual health, leveraging the digital also space. The dialogue focused on how digital platforms can be used to provide what we call information that is on accurate also sexual information, and that is also to the young people who are the majority users of this information of digital era in there, because many of the young people are actually part of the digital era in there. That's where we did see that happening, and we hope at the end of the day this also will be also really very much important for them to also really learn from that. That's where we did see Peter Mark Mutebi, the Director of Finance at the Reproductive Health of Uganda, also really talking about preliminary findings that from the 2004 National Population and Housing Census, which shows that young people, also the population also stood at 78%, despite being also the majority, they face significant challenges related to sexual and reproductive health, including high rates of teenage pregnancy, HIV, cervical cancer, gender-based violence, and limited access to essential services, which are also challenges many young people also go through today. And that is one area which I feel at the end of the day will be very much important. And how ready are we for all this? And how ready are we for also to address some of these issues as we get to move on with the show? So I think it's really quite important for us to also be able to solely advocate for some of these initiatives, and that is one area which we are going to be leaving that discussion aside. Now, also summarizing this half of the hour, let's summarize it with the story in Chigogwa, where we had the fuel explosion. Unfortunately, information coming from that side indicates the death toll from that tragedy also has risen to 28. That means 28 persons have been confirmed dead now, after preliminary investigation from that matter also indicate in there. But now we are seeing the death toll from the devastating fuel tank explosion at Chigogwa along Kampala-Bombo Road, which is in Wakiso district, has risen 28, according to information and confirmation from the Uganda Police Force in there. That was on Tuesday, which was yesterday. And this follows the death also of 2 more victims who succumbed to fire burns at Chirudu Referral Hospital in there. Now, in a statement also shared on the X account, Uganda Police also said that the death toll from the Chigogwa fire has risen 28 after 2 more victims already died at Chirudu Hospital in there. And that is one area which we also feel people also should be able to learn from. I don't want to repeat myself because I've said this right from the time this story broke up to now, because it is now a developing story. I want to assure you that many people have lost their lives in this issue here, and yesterday we were talking about 25. Now the numbers have risen to 28, but how ready and what lessons do we learn also from the Chigogwa incident? Because many people may not be in position to also understand that indeed it was a tragedy that many people lost their lives on. And I hope at the end of the day that at least there's a lesson that we pick as citizens, as people of Uganda, because if you look at the Chigogwa incident, people had gone to siphon fuel, not knowing that it could actually lead them to death. Is your life worth that fuel? Let's learn from that, because information also indicates that the driver, as he was also fleeing the area, kept on warning, kept on also urging this spot to also run away from that facility because it may explode anytime. And information also that indicates also that we did see happening in there indicates that this fire was caused by a fire stove that was in one of the neighborhoods. But we saw many people dying, and the driver currently is on the run, and the owner of the vehicle is also being tracked by Uganda police with the help of Uganda Revenue Authority to also detect who owns this vehicle, which also gone banned. And that is one area which we feel is therefore very much important for us to learn from that, because it's not the very first time we are hearing cases of fuel explosion. We have had these cases way back, and we hope at the end of the day that this also will be sending a message that we also must also not engage in those practices of siphoning fuel, which may also lead us to death. Because if it bursts, we know what happens, because fuel is a flammable good, which also can rise into flies and also cause fire when fire is a bit flammable. So I think let's also desist from those practices and learn from that. Now, police spokesperson, Mr. Rusoke Kishitumwa, commented the latest fatalities, identifying one victim as a man and the other as a female juvenile. Now, preliminary also the police findings indicate that the fire was solely ignited by a charcoal stove, which was at the crime scene also as the fuel tank overturned, sparking also a rush from residents to siphon fuel, and the flames spread rapidly, burning nearby properties, indicating shops, homes, and motorcycles. And that is where with this the truck driver currently is said to be hiding. And according to Tumwa, Chigogo Town Council residents blamed the deadly road crash in their area also that's on government's failure to also install road humps. And how example, maybe what message can government learn from that? And I hope government should also allocate some money to also install these humps. That will also help reduce on speed, because if I talk about, I do understand it's a highway, but it will also be possible for us to solely advocate for road humps, and that will also help enable the police to reduce on the speeds. Because this road, if you look at it, it is actually the road that connects northern Uganda, because if you look at Bombo Road, it is actually one of the road also that connects Uganda at large, South Sudan and DRC, because this road also still connects in there, but it is actually one of those roads, and it's a highway. But my humble appeal to UNRWA would actually be that let's install humps on this road to also help avoid overspeeding as a demand by also the residents in there. Now, in the response to the tragedy, the government has pledged 5 million Ugandan shillings, that is to each and every one that lost their lives in this tragedy, and shillings 1 million to the families of those who are still battling for their lives to assist in receiving treatment. And that is where we are saying avoid those deaths if at all there's an accident. Not only fuel tankers, we have seen also scenarios where other vehicles have also caught fire. Let's avoid practices. Maybe for rushing there to rescue the victims, it's quite good, but it shouldn't be also for us to go and siphon fuel from, and that is really very much dangerous. A dangerous practice which we must also really desist from. And with that, we are going to be taking a short commercial break. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV, channel 477 on StarTimes. We also there on Zuku, and Azam is our new baby where we are on to. And for those who have the decoder, I will be letting you know which signal you will be watching us on each and every mornings, right away from Mondays to Fridays, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And we hope at the end of the day, the information we are giving is actually having an impact on your life and in your day-to-day activities. We are hoping that you are not going to be keeping home in case you're just still on bed. Wake up, go start hustling for your daily needs and your daily requirements, so that also you do not miss out opportunities of making that money. With that, we are taking a short commercial break. When we bounce back, we are giving you more stories. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Lamine Yamal, Antoine Griezmann. La Liga comes to Star Times.
A wild celebration!
The big stars, the tiki-taka football, Real Madrid and Barcelona live in your living room.
Real Madrid, a team of dreams!
Catch all 380 games live and in HD on Sports Premium, Channel 259 and Channel 246. Starting this August 15th. Subscribe to StarTimes Classic or Smart Bouquet at 36,000 Uganda shillings to enjoy the football experience affordably. StarTimes Football and Limited Passion.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back. We already the final half of today's discussions. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV channel 477. In case you are just joining us right now, welcome aboard. And our final destination, of course, remains 9 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, that's when I will be leaving the studios for the next crew to come. That is of the Eolas and News Bulletin. For those who understand Lugbarati, then the News Bulletin, therefore, will be coming through with Fete Manuel. And he will be letting you know of what is happening in and across the country when it comes to issues of also the news, because you don't have to miss anything out. As West Nile Television, of course, our #1 mandate remains, that is to enlighten you and to enlighten the region, and we are not going to be doing that simply by keeping quiet, but of course by also amplifying your voices and also keeping you in the know of what is happening also in your areas. And that is where the news bulletins also will be coming through, and Fete Emmanuel will be following shortly from now with the Eolas News Bulletin, and thereafter many interesting programs will be coming through for those who love Northern Uganda music, music from Acholi, music from Lango, music from Karamoja, and music also really from West Nile here. That music also will be coming through on the Northern Request Hour with Olivia, UG, and DJ Jero, who will be in position to sort of play for you those bangers and those songs that you love to listen to from northern Uganda. It could be the Lulu sub-region, it could be in Madi for the Lubaras. The music will be playing, not forgetting Acholi and the Langis. Their music also still will be playing on the Northern Request Hour. All you need to do is pick up your phone when the time comes and make a request of that very song that you want to listen to. There will be an opportunity there for play for you that song, and you will be enjoying and dedicating it, of course, to your loved ones. And of course, after that, we shall be having the Lembangea news bulletin for the Lulu speakers. I want to say the Lembangea will be coming also at midday with the beautiful lady in the names of Fancy, who will be also be giving you that. Kachingro Fancy, of course, will be here to also give you what is happening in the world of news. Of course, thereafter, we shall be also stretching with the day where MC Sarge, the only person and the only guy whom I know speaks in capital letters only, will be coming through with the street talk. What is happening in the streets? What also is that word that is on the street that you deserve to know of? He will be also here to also give you that also in capital letters, where you will be still in position of knowing what exactly is making rounds in the gossip and in the world of the street. What exactly are the people discussing? What exactly is trending in the streets? Definitely the man who speaks in capital letters, MC Sarge, will be coming through that solely with also what we call the street talk. Thereafter, and the whistle time with Owen Ezaga and Linda Suzy, who will be here for those who love sports. I do understand the Manchester United fans have already sacked the manager. Of course, that is another discussion that will also be coming through later on, and they will be letting you know of what is happening when it comes to those areas of sports. For those who love the regional leagues are back. The FIFA Big League is as well back, and I do understand the teams from Western Sub-Region are still struggling to compete and move to the top level. Also is another story that I want to show you that will be coming through also with the team in there. And I want to show you that the StarTimes Uganda Premier League is as well back, and I know that tonight we shall be having a game, and this game also will be coming through, and I will be letting you know the results, of course, of what is happening in the world of sports. And with that, we also still shall be seeing other programs following up. The movie time for those who love watching cinemas. I know of colleagues who can sit for the whole day watching and following the movies process by process or plot by plot, because movies are also followed in plots. I do understand that some people follow that. And then those who love the movies, actually nice movies also will be coming through. That is from 3 to 5 p.m. 2 solid hours of watching those nice and beautiful movies. That is only happening here on Western Television. And I want to show you that also that will be coming through, which will therefore usher us straight into Chuku Chuku from 5, that is 5 to 7 p.m. as the team also will be letting you know of what is happening in there, and that's also how our day will be continuing. And I hope also you love music, most especially the celebrity gossip, as the year is coming to an end. A lot of opportunities also coming up, and a lot of events as well coming up, and that tells us as of maybe how we are going to be planning, and you must also start the planning process right now if at all you want to celebrate and also enjoy the festive season, because during the festive season a lot of activities happening and a lot of events happen, a lot of happenings are also taking place in the region at the country level at large. So I think for you who is planning to celebrate also this day, and then you must start saving now. If at all you have not been saving, you must have a box where you may start also dropping 1,000, 2,000, 5, depending on what you want. And that will also enable you also to celebrate and also enjoy some of those activities that will be coming in the festive season. That of course, will be coming through. That's from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Chuku Chuku, also where they will be giving information when it comes to spotlights, when it comes to entertainment industry. They will be giving information in capital and also in bold in there without any fear or favor. The team is coming through, where we shall be having MC Sarge coming through, Liz Honey and DJ Mosh as well as expected to be on that panel as well. As Hassan the Big Brother for now is also not in position to also be there, but we hope also he will be getting back anytime from now and also give you those vibes in there. And that is where we shall be seeing the program also heading at 7 p.m. where the beautiful Kumurunya Christine will be coming through with the news bulletin in English of the Nilecast. That is where she will be letting you know of what's happening in those different geographical locations in the entire country. And I want to show you that they will be also letting you know of what's happening in there. And you'd not also have to miss out on that news bulletin in there from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. That will also now be ushering us into the final program of the day. That is of Kelele, another show which I must say is catering for all. where you need not to be worried. Maybe thinking that I do not know how to speak English, I do not know Lugbarra, I do not know Alur. The lady speaks all the languages, and she is actually one of those persons that I find quite unique. Because you go to Alur, she is there. You come to Lugbarra, she's speaking. You go to Acholi, she's there. Now, that is where you need not to sort of miss out and that opportunity of also having a chance to also make phone calls, because it's a program also where you have an opportunity of making phone calls to your loved ones and also check on them, because it's really quite interesting to always check on your loved ones, and checking them also on this beautiful Wednesday would actually be a blessing. And people will get to know that indeed you have not forgotten about them, and that is where and how our programs of the day shall be running. But for now, we are still continuing with the KOKOLIRIKO live show, where we are seeing a lot of stories still happening right from at the region, and we'll talk about stories in the region. Yesterday, we had an engagement of Uganda Revenue Authority, where a pronouncement was made for the re-extension of the promotional border registration exercise in the region, which will therefore run up to June next year. That is when we shall be now entering another financial year. This was after concerns and after pleas by a section of stakeholders. I was able to see the Vice Chairperson, Arua City Border Station, that is Amaku Swadik, making that call. We were able to also see the area MP for Central Division, Atima Jackson Booty Lee, as well as making that phone call and saying, at least let the minister and let the commissioner who represented the Commissioner General to also make a pronouncement. And we were able to see the commissioner who actually represented, who was at one time the regional manager also really at West Nile here, and that is where we did see also really him also now making that pronouncement after communication with also really the Commissioner General in the names of Musunguzi also in there, and the pronouncement was declared that the promotional registration of motorcycles in West Nile sub-region therefore will continue up to June next year. Have you registered your motorcycle? Because under this initiative, unlike in the previous exercise where you are required to pay about 1.2 million, under this initiative, you are only required to pay 750,000 plus. Those are the charges adding to maybe 800,000. You have been spared of all those amounts. So I think let's embrace this as people of West Nile sub-region. It is high time for us to sort of embrace this and then engaging in running battles, because we are going to be seeing after this financial year, we never know what may follow, because we as West Nile sub-region, this opportunity has been for us to register our motorbikes at half price, but we are still seeing numberless motorcycles. I was able to see the RCC in charge of Central Division, and Sodiko as well also talking about the same matter, about how ready and how willing are we as people of West Nile sub-region, other than waiting for that very time where we are going to be engaging in running battles. Why don't we embrace this now? Because this pronouncement was made in January this year, after the tragic incident that happened in Madiokolo, Koboko, and Arua, where people died. About also 5 people were confirmed dead after the URA also the activities in there. But we did see the minister that is in charge of general duties, that is Henry Musasizi, visiting Arua, in which engagement I was part, and the pronouncement was declared a 6-month period, which elapsed after call and also after demand still by the same people of West Nile sub-region, most especially the border leadership. An extension was granted. It has ended. It was supposed to end on September 30th, the 6-month period. But now again, we are seeing it was actually supposed to end today. And yesterday, in the same engagement, the vice chairperson again requested, and the MP also did also echo, and the re-extension was therefore granted. But as people of West Nile sub-region, how ready and how willing are we to take advantage of this exercise? Because Uganda Revenue Authority had a target of registering at least 10,000 motorcycles, but we were able to only see about 4,000 being registered within this period of 9 months, because I do not want to say 6-month period, because the 6-month period elapsed. It was re-extended. Again, the same leaders have made a call. It is again re-extended. Are we going to be seeing our people also really embracing this? Are we willing to see that this also continues to happen? Is the question also now we should be asking ourselves this morning. But all in all, I want to say, as people of West Nile sub-region, let's embrace this, because it's an opportunity for us to solely register our motorbikes at half prices. Because to have an hour plate is not a bad practice. I want to say it's not very bad, because numberless motorcycles have always been known as motorcycles that are being used in criminal activities. And if at all we register our motorbikes, we never know. It may help us also in terms of security, and that would also at the end of the day spare people's property from being grabbed, because numberless motorcycles have been attributed to the rampant criminal cases in the city. For instance, during the turmoil where we were able to see people's handbags being grabbed, people's phones were being grabbed, and in most cases, the victims confirmed that their assailants or those who have been engaged in those practices have been using numberless motorcycles. So how ready are we as citizens of West Nile sub-region to embrace this exercise and register our motorbikes, other than also removing and loitering with those numberless motorbikes, which would also, at the end of this financial year, land us in trouble? But we are not praying for that. We are still saying, let's embrace it. Let's take our motorbikes for this half registration, because I don't understand, it was supposed to be a promotional, where it was all right. That is where we feel you as West Nilers watching me, you who is still watching me with listen to the advice the leaders are making towards also taking motorcycles for registration, and that would at the end of the day save us from running battles, and which would also put ourselves and maybe our families at risk, because we have seen scenarios where people's motorcycles are being impounded. It leaves them with nothing. But the issue also has been harmonious taxes, where the leaders have often called Uganda Revenue Authority to harmonize the taxes at national level, because if you look at the issues and taxes on motorcycles, many of them have been said to be cheaper in DRC and South Sudan, but more expensive in Uganda. So as leaders at national level, what